You are probably using astrology completely wrong, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use it correctly. Most of the common ways I see people use astrology wrong is one, they're using it to affirm negative beliefs about themselves and also affirm the negative outcomes that they fear might happen. Second is I see people detaching responsibility from themselves and free will in their own agency and blaming everything on the stars, when in reality it's a lot of your own personal shortcomings. And three, I see a lot of people using astrology to judge others as well as themselves. And I think these three things that you do wrong are really easy to do when you first get into astrology. But I think there are other ways that you can reframe what astrology is in your mind and be able to use it in a much more healthy and much more constructive way. Because astrology is a tool at the end of the day, and all tools are either going to be doing the job that they're supposed to do, or if you use the tool wrong, they're not going to do what you want them to do. So here's how I think that you can use astrology more correctly in order to benefit your life, gain more positivity, have more insight into your life, and be able to navigate all of the challenges that you're going to be facing in life. Number one is that you need to see that astrology is a tool and that it has appropriate uses. For example, not everything needs to be astrologized. Like some people deeper in the astrology community want to elect every single event. And an election is simply when you want to cast a chart for the perfect moment in your life. And there's times where that's helpful, maybe for a wedding or starting a business. You want to make sure you get the best kind of time. But when you're electing every little thing, it's easy to just overanalyze, get into fear, get into doubt. But when you understand astrology as a tool and you understand that it's one of the many tools in your tool bag, there's times where it's appropriate to use and there's times where it may not really be all that helpful or beneficial. And I think that's the first thing to start off with, because again, for example, in like medicine, not everything has to be a surgery. Some things can be fixed in completely different ways. You don't always have to go to the extreme of surgery or medication. Second is you need to understand that this tool will give you a deeper look at the situation. It's not necessarily a death sentence. I think so many people will attach to the worst things that they see in their own birth chart and other people's birth charts in the transiting astrology, and then instantly give themselves a death sentence that this is all going to go to shit, this is all going to go to hell, and there's no hope. When in fact, astrology doesn't do that. Astrology is actually just giving you a much more deeper, thorough look at the situation. If you're in a really difficult situation that might be hard to understand or to navigate, astrology is going to show you where that problem is, but it's up to you to understand what you're looking at well enough to be able to navigate that problem in a beneficial way. In astrology, there's a big debate about free will versus fate. And I'm a big believer that fate is real, and I think there's a lot to accept there. But the other part of that is that you do have free will. Not everything is completely fated. You have the choice to make different decisions. You kind of have to look at it as like a graph. Fate is on the x-axis, free will is on the y-axis. The more that you encompass your free will, the more that you'll be able to navigate your fate a lot easier. But astrology shows you just what the fate is, but it's up to you to create what circumstances there are. For example, there are plenty of very successful people that have very, very difficult charts, probably worse birth charts than you. And they still have those challenges, they still have those problems, but they were able to muster their free will in order to use that fate to their benefit and not just look at it as a death sentence. So astrology will give you a deeper look at yourself and what problems you have to navigate, but at the same time, it gives you the tools necessary to actually navigate that problem. And no, it's not just, oh, this is happening, so it's bad and there's nothing that I can do about it. That is a failure mentality. And if you put that onto astrology, you're going to put that onto everything else in your life. You need to understand that life always has hard times. But with astrology, it's not when are the hard times or when are the good times, it's where the hard times are. So many people come into astrology just asking, when is it going to get better? When is it not going to be so bad? When can I actually, have and enjoy life? Number one, this is where free will comes in. That's up to you to enjoy your life. There are people that live in absolute poverty that are able to actually enjoy and be grateful for what they have. And there's others that have it all and hate everything that they have. But astrology shows us where these things are going to be taking place. If you're just expecting one day to life to get better, you are absolutely delusional and you're going to have a horrible life, because guess what? That never happens. But when you understand where the problems are and at what times those problems will be happening in those areas, well, that's going to give you a little bit of a heads up so you're not as thrown off course by these negative things that can happen. For example, when Saturn moves into a new sign, it's like, that there's going to be more responsibilities and more limitations in a certain part of your chart. When you have the heads up about that and you know that it's going to last the next 3 years, well, you can prepare yourself mentally to overcome those obstacles and deal with those challenges, and so that they don't feel like, why is the universe just like shitting on me? Why is the universe making my life so much more difficult? What this is showing is like, hey, this is a 3-year period of difficulty and responsibility and maturity in this area, and you're going to be learning some hard lessons, but they will pay off if you just learn the lessons in the end. But it's up to you. It's up to your personal responsibility, to your self-awareness in order to overcome those challenges and learn the lesson that life is trying to show you. If you don't strengthen your self-awareness, if you don't look at the situation objectively, and if you don't look at the situation as, how can I grow from this? What can I learn from this? What can I do better? And no, it's not the whole world is out to against you, or it's everybody else and not me. It all starts with you. So you can't just give up and roll over and just let things happen. Life is tough. No one said it was going to be easy, but the other part of it is it doesn't have to be as hard as you think it has to be. And I think if you just blend a mixture of self-awareness, some reasonable optimism, and some open-mindedness to how to have a solution to your problems, it actually becomes relatively easy to conquer your problems. And again, this all starts with self-awareness. You need to have self-awareness of your negative beliefs. This all comes from the subconscious. And don't give me the bullshit of like, oh, I know my subconscious, like it's all cleansed and la 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 la. The whole point of the subconscious is you don't know it. But every time you act out of integrity and every time that you fail and that you quit, all that does is affirm the negative voice that you have in your head, that you're a failure, that you're incapable of doing things, that it's never going to work out for you. And so when you have all of those negative beliefs, you look at your birth chart and then it just reaffirms all of those negative beliefs that you have. And that is like a great way to look at your chart and instantly go into doom mode. It's a great way to look at other people's chart and think the worst of them. And it's just not helpful. It just doesn't work. So you have to have awareness of your subconscious. But the way to get out of those negative beliefs and to stop reaffirming that negative subconscious is by acting in integrity, holding yourself up to your word, actually doing the personal development work that so many, I feel like in the spiritual community, get so upset about having to do the hard work. They just want to blame the stars. They just want to blame the crystals. They just want to blame and gaslight other people for all of their problems. It's like, hey, you have negative beliefs about yourself. And with your pattern recognizing brain, you look at your chart and you recognize the pattern of like, oh, these are all my limiting beliefs. When in reality, the chart is just showing you, yeah, these are your negative beliefs. This is how you get in your own way. But at the same time, it is giving you the ability to see it in a way that's not only going to reaffirm those beliefs, but show you like, hey, this is what you do to overcome it. And in this video, I'm not going to be able to explain like, okay, all of the 10 billion ways that the astrology is going to show you how to overcome it. That takes time in understanding astrology and understanding your birth chart. But again, if you lack that self-awareness over your own negative beliefs, and then you just look at your birth chart and reaffirm those, you're just going to doom spiral and it's not going to really work. You have to realize that this is showing you a very objective view of all of the worst things in your life and all of the best things in your life. And all of the best things in your life, it's showing you how to take advantage of those gifts and talents and abilities. And all the worst things in your life, it's showing you, hey, here's the things that you're going to have to overcome that are going to teach you very hard lessons, but are going to be very rewarding. It's going to show you how to overcome these obstacles, how to navigate through that. And so you can't just look at it as a death sentence. You have to look at it as a very objective look at yourself. And how you look at yourself through the birth chart, like, that's all up to your subconscious. If you think negatively about yourself, well, then you're going to think negatively about your birth chart. But if you think positive or at least open-minded about yourself and your opportunities, it's going to be easier to look at your birth chart through a constructive lens. And again, with that, like, if you want to get out of those negative belief systems, all that takes is confidence. Confidence is really just your record of being able to live up to your word and, say that you're going to do something, do it, and having like the capability and knowing that you can do something that maybe you've never done before. We have all done things in our lives that we thought we were never able to do, or that were completely insurmountable, but we did them. Those are the things that establish confidence. And so as you're working with astrology, as you're learning your birth chart, you have to do things that go out of your comfort zone that are going to give you that confidence. If you always, start a new project, but then fail to, stick with it or continue with it, that's not going to give you confidence. Sometimes you just have to muster up that strength and say, you know what, I'm going to stick with this. I'm going to see this through until the very end. And if you apply that in your life, that is not easy. That is very hard. It's going to put you out of your comfort zone, but that is going to reaffirm that confidence in your ability to know how to do things, to know how to get out of your own way, to put the ball in your court. And I think the last thing is you got to lighten up a little bit. Like, no one is perfect. You are not perfect. Our charts all show that. And I think especially in like relationships, so many people say like, oh, this guy is a Gemini, sun, Scorpio moon. That's why he's toxic, blah, 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 blah. Like, okay, if you see that way about other people, that means you see that way about yourself too. When all astrology is doing is giving you a tool to better understand people. It's like, okay, if this person has these Scorpio placements and that you think negatively about it, how about you understand what that Scorpio stuff means? That means they're very tied to their emotions. It's very hard to get out of their pain. Especially Scorpio moon, it's hard to get out of that deep-seated pain and let go. Have some more empathy and understanding for that. And that's going to give you awareness about how that person actually overcomes their battles. It's not easy. It's a very band-aid ripping off, you know, the flesh, like intense pain. And there is a lot of reward with it. But what I'm trying to say here is that you have to be easy on yourself and other people. You can't just use a chart to judge someone and be like, oh, they're toxic, or oh, they're bad. And because you're just going to see yourself that way. And that doesn't help you. That doesn't help that other person, but it is going to give you a map and again, another tool to understand people differently and understand yourself differently. And you have to lighten up. You're not going to do everything perfect. You're not going to be able to navigate your chart all that well. It takes time because this is life. It takes a whole lifetime to figure it out. And no one has it figured out, by the way. You could argue that people that are dead kind of have something a little bit figured out about it, but you have to lighten up on yourself and you have to have fun with it, because if you're only looking at the negative stuff and then also looking at how you're not taking advantage of the positive stuff, you're missing out on the fun with it. And you should be having fun with life. You shouldn't be taking this tool and making it the most serious and extreme thing, because what kind of life is worth living like that? So let me know what all of your thoughts about this are in the comments below. I just know so many people struggle using astrology and getting out of a negative belief system, or using it in a way that harms them and harms other people. Let me know what your thoughts are about this. Let me know if you learned anything. Let me know what you're willing to change. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like this video, and I'll see you guys next time.